that you serve. The right quantity, like you don't want to be out of stock, not because you lose sales, but because your patient will also not be able to get the medication that they need. And the right quality also. The right quality might affect your product that you won't be able to sell to a patient. Maybe they just say they don't want it. But it's also important to be sure that what you are handling to the patient or your client is drug in its best quality. But that's why it is important that you comply with the storage conditions stated by the manufacturer of this product. And also at the right, you know, there are some products that depending on your neighborhood, if you are selling in somewhere like Victoria Island or Ajah, there are some product class that you can afford. If you are in my area now and you are selling product of like 250, 200, so you are selling something that really meets our condition, our pocket rather. So you have to pay attention to that also. Yeah, so that's majorly what we are going to discuss in the next 40 minutes, like how to optimize from these two ends. Um, so this is the outline. Like I mentioned, walk you through what inventory is, like in a pharmacy or hospital pharmacy context. What do we define as a inventory? And how do you describe inventory management? Why it is important, and what are the strategies in managing inventory? So they would be around when it happens, you try to optimize so as to reduce expiry risk, but it happens that you have products that are already short dated or something. So how do you mitigate as a business? How do you reduce that risk? Then, like Yewande mentioned, going to take the last section of this presentation to respond to questions that were submitted prior to this webinar. So I mentioned here that effective inventory management is important in overall business operation. I think I shared context around that for both you as a business and the patients that we all serve. So improper inventory management has been identified as a major reason why business fail, which is understandable. If you keep too much, you are going to likely lose products to expiry. And if you keep too little, you are likely to run out of stock. So, what is the essence of a shop that you open and there's no product to sell to clients? Your rent is not going to change. Like, if you are not able to sell augmented to a patient that wants it, the landlord will not, because of that, cut down on how much you are going to pay for rent. The power holding company will not, because of that, and reduce your bill for electricity. So, these are fixed costs. So to now optimize on those fixed costs, you have to run your business optimally to ensure that you have what your patients need at every point. So that's why inventory management is critical to business success. So looking at the nature of our business, an average pharmacy has like 1,000, 1,500 SKUs, so which is almost impossible to pay the same attention to all of them in terms of management. So it's important that you apply what we call Pareto principle. You'll be able to identify 20% of your products that are responsible for 80% of your margin. What I mean is if you have 100 products in your pharmacy, you should be able to identify the 20 of those 100 that are responsible for 80% of your revenue. If your revenue is 100 naira, that give you 80 naira of that 100 naira. So these 20 SKUs or 20% of your inventory are the ones that you are going to pay attention to. And this is because these are products that you can't stock too much because the buying price is high, like how much you buy it. So if you lose product to expiry, the impact on your business is huge. So you need to manage it from that end. Also, there are products that you don't want to lose sales because you are out of stock. Because for every one pack that you are not able to sell because you are out of stock, the impact is also huge. So that this is why it is important to apply this principle. Know the 20% that contribute 80% of your business running, business revenue, and focus on them. The rest are also similarly important. Exactly, but it's important that you pay attention to. Yeah, so also when the inventory management actually starts from the point when you are planning to when you are receiving inbound from your supplier. So at the point of that receiving inbound, part of the strategy to mitigate expiry is to ensure that you are receiving products in a good shelf life. So they call it remaining shelf life. So if a product shelf life is 2 years, you have to know what your pharmacy has potential to deplete, what you can sell. So you are not receiving product that is 2 months to expiry from your supplier. We in shelf life, if we are going to do that, we normally escalate to you because there are cases when it is inevitable in the market that maybe the batch that's only available is the short dated batch, and we still want to meet your demand. So we reach out to you that this is what we are going to buy to you. And in a case where we supply it to you and reject it, that's something we gladly receive back from you and back to our system. And all these concerns of optimizing, don't keep too much to avoid expiry, and don't keep too little to avoid the stock out. It won't have been a problem if you can use what we call just in time. If it is possible for you as a pharmacy or hospital, when you get request for a product from your patient, when you are buying from us, like someone wants to buy 10 packs of augmentin from your pharmacy. So it's the same time that you are reaching out to your supplier. That is GIT. But it's not possible because number one, there are many constraints, like so many factors that make that impossible. The first one is the lead time. We are not our DC or our warehouse is not located close to your shop that you can just walk in and say, okay, you need this. There's a lead time. Two, the patient that wants to use the drug is a time bound. Maybe you want to use it the same day or the next day. So that constraint of time make it impossible to use this strategy. And that's why we are focusing on how you are going to keep stock. Then we come to conversation around inventory management. Exactly. So that's why you are keeping something that you now call inventory. That is the stock that you have in your pharmacy. So you acquire that just for the purpose of selling data. So that I want it to be as short as possible, that if it is possible to acquire something that you want to sell tomorrow or next tomorrow, that's the optimal inventory management, if it is possible. So, but you acquire it to sell data. Yeah. So it is this acquisition for later selling that allow continuous flow of products in your pharmacy. And what is inventory management? So it's basically how to now manage, like right from the decision making of what you are buying to how you are keeping it and how you are tracking it. Like I mentioned, you are acquiring inventory for possible for later resale. You are keeping stock. So inventory management is now how you are going to manage that stock, like I mentioned, for optimal profitability and improved quality of life for the patients that you serve. So that's basically what inventory management is. And when you are managing inventory, there are three costs that go into inventory management. A lot of us manage business that we don't pay attention to this. You don't pay attention to why it is not good to keep 100 packs of augmentin when your run rate is just 2 packs on daily basis. So that's automatically 50, 60 days of inventory. So apart from the risk of expiration of that product, if you are not able to deplete it before it expires, there is also stock holding cost, like the cost, because you are tying down capital maybe that you could have used for something else, or maybe divert to keep inventory of other products that you are likely stock out because you don't have enough capital. So it's important that you pay attention to that cost. We call it stock holding cost. A lot of pharmacy don't pay attention to it. They only focus on how to mitigate the expiry. So it is possible that a product does not, keeping a product does not pose expiry risk, but at the same time you are losing on stock holding cost. So there is ordering cost, which is the cost of placing an order, and this includes the logistics cost. So you don't want to order too much because of what I mentioned, the stock holding cost. You don't want to keep too much and be losing on the capital that you're buying down. And at the same time, you want to reduce the frequency of your ordering because every time you order, there are costs involved, the cost of logistics, even the time of managing the conversation with your supplier. If you send order to us, the tracking of that order until when it gets to you, that's beyond the cost. Following up with us to know when it's going to deliver. So you don't want to be like sending order every other day. So it's important that you also pay attention to that, like the ordering cost. It's like a counter of the stock holding cost. You want to reduce your stock holding cost. by making an optimal order. Like, at the same time, you don't want to be um, going every other day to buy. So that's why it is important. And there's also stock out cost for every one pack of a product that you're not able to sell. Every one pack, every order from your clients, from a patient, someone that walk into your pharmacy and want to buy one packet of paracetamol, and you are not able to sell, there's a cost attached to it. So that is stock out cost. So if you look at these three costs now, they are kind of conflicting, because you can reduce your stock out cost by stocking enough. And when you stock enough, like more than what you need, your stock holding cost will go up. So there's now possibility of losing what you want to save from stock out cost on the stock holding cost. So that's why we now call something EOQ, which is the focus of this conversation today. So there is a point where these three lines, the ordering, stock holding, and the stock out, where they meet, where they intersect. And that is what gives us the EOQ, economic order quantity. So that is the cost that give you like the best intersection of these three costs. So the next few slides we'll be walking through how to manage this. Yeah, so I've talked about it in terms of what is the goal of inventory managing. Why do we need to manage our inventory? Yeah, so the strategy for managing inventory is actually majorly around these four buckets. So the first one is demand plan, how you are going to determine what you need to order and how many you want to order and when you need to order it. So the second one is inventory policy. The why of the demand planning, like how many do you need, is actually a factor of decision that you make in your inventory policy. Like you decide what do you want to keep for the safety stock. I'll talk more about that. Then inventory count. That's also important, especially when it comes to inventory control. You, like I mentioned about how to mitigate expiry, you want to do FIFO, first expiry, first out, and other strategies. It's majorly about getting the right data. And when it comes to demand planning, also, you need the right data to inform your planning. So the last one is inventory tracking, which is similarly important. We're going to talk more about. So the first one is demand planning, and demand plan is majorly around estimating the potential sales. This is February. In January, you are expected to have done demand plan for February, like to estimate what you are likely to sell per product in February. Like for paracetamol, how many packs am I likely to sell in February? For um, augmentin, how many packs of augmentin am I likely to sell? And this is majorly done by a system we call statistical forecasting, which is actually broad. Like it's from the basic method of just assuming that what you sell yesterday is what you are going to sell tomorrow or what you are going to sell today. So that is naive forecast. That if you sell 10 packs of paracetamol yesterday, you assume that the same 10 packs you are going to sell today, or another 10 packs you are going to sell next tomorrow. So that is naive forecast, or applying average of a particular period. So that is, I'm talking about the forecasting now. So let's say in the last 1 month, in January, for instance, on daily basis, an average of, let's say the total sales in January was 500, and we have 30 days in January. So when you divide that 500 by 30, which is like 1 point something, so you assume that to be your daily sales for February also. So that's another forecasting strategy. There are other more advanced ones that you need more technical distinct to, and that is not relevant in this context. So we'll be limiting the conversation to naive when you assume that what you said yesterday is what you are going to sell today, and average forecasting strategy when you take average of your previous sales to now predict what you are going to sell going forward. So demand plan is important because you'll be able to, so is the foundation of increased profitability when it comes to inventory management, like I mentioned. So you'll be able to like stock the right products at the right quantity to meet the right satisfaction of your customer, which ultimately will determine your customer retention. because customer will come to your pharmacy and they will be able to you'll be able to process their need. Yeah.